You are a pig, 127 kilograms of compressed appetite standing in wet concrete at 3:18 in the morning inside a finishing barn in Iowa that smells like ammonia and feed dust, and 10,000 other pigs having the same limited thoughts you are, and you are 6 months old, which in the system that built you means nearly finished. Your body engineered for one purpose: grow fast, convert grain efficiently, become meat on schedule, and your ancestors once crossed forests on sharp hooves and solved problems with speed and violence. But that history has been reduced in you to something that gets startled by a hanging chain, tapping a feeder. There is no forest in your life, no mud, no horizon, only pens and fans and fluorescent light and automatic feed lines and walls close enough to understand. And you have never chosen where to sleep, never searched for water, never seen stars. And then the storm comes, not the cinematic kind with meaning attached. Just a spring derecho tearing across the Midwest at highway speed, ripping roofs and dropping power lines and slamming the exterior loading door that someone always meant to fix inward and keeping it open. And ventilation cuts first, then the backup fails, and wind enters the building like something with intention. Noise explodes, panels shake, feed dust becomes weather, and 10,000 pigs panic simultaneously, which is less a sound than a physical event. Pens buckle, gates snap at weld points. Animals climb over animals. Pressure becomes architecture. And by dawn, 300 are dead from crushing and suffocation and broken limbs and being in the wrong place during a stampede caused by creatures not known for subtlety. But 1,900 are outside, pouring from torn walls and loading ramps into soybean fields under a sky still flashing green-white in the distance. And this is the first time grass has touched most of their feet. And several stop running immediately and begin eating it because trauma and curiosity look identical in pigs. The road fills with confused pink bodies squealing and slipping and smelling rain, and distance and a freedom they did not request. And nobody comes to gather them because the county is dealing with collapsed barns and flooded roads and emergencies louder than livestock. And by sunset, the pigs have scattered across 20 kilometers of farmland, and by morning, 80 are dead. Some from shock, some from dehydration despite standing near water because recognition and access are different skills. But many survive, and survival begins the way it usually begins, which is by accident. A gilt noses under a rotted board and finds acorns and 3 others copier. A boar follows the smell of water downhill and finds a creek hidden by cottonwoods. A cluster beds in cattails and wakes untouched because cover is better than openness, and they do not know this consciously, only physically. And within a week, the survivors have learned 4 things: soil hides, calories, water moves downhill, dogs are dangerous unless outnumbered, and fences are mostly opinions. And these are not new lessons. They are old ones waking up, because every domestic pig carries the blueprint of Sus scrofa underneath the selective edits. Humans changed growth rates and litter size and temperament and fat distribution and ear posture and skin color, but they did not erase the machine underneath. The pigs are not becoming wild. They are remembering under pressure, and summer thins them fast. The first change is not mystical. It is missing dinner. Fat burns. Muscle reorganizes around movement. Legs once used for standing in pens now travel 15 kilometers a day between food patches. Hooves harden. Shoulders scar. Pink skin blisters under sun, and white pigs suffer most because sunburn cracks and cracks infect. An infection edits the future with complete indifference to what the animal was worth 6 months ago. By the first autumn, the survivors look like rough drafts of something older. Leaner faces, longer snouts from rooting constantly, bristles coarser in the piglets born that year, dark stripes appearing on juveniles that no one bred for because no one is breeding anymore. Those stripes were always in the inheritance waiting for the selective pressure that kept them hidden to be removed. And the first winter kills the ornamental future completely. Heavy, fast-growth lineages fail when feed bins stop existing. Animals with weak legs fail in frozen mud. The calm, docile temperament humans preferred turns out to react too slowly when coyotes come for piglets, and coyotes come for piglets. Bobcats take the small, foolish ones. And wolves returning from northern ranges discover that pork has become ambulatory again and adjust their behavior accordingly. By year 5, there are perhaps 10,000 descendants across multiple states, not as one herd, but in sounders, matriarchal groups of related females and young moving in seasonal circuits, while mature boars range alone until breeding or trouble calls them back. And trouble attracts pigs with a consistency that suggests affinity. They root through crop stubble and raid orchards and consume turtle nests and dig up bulbs and eat carrion and snakes and eggs and each other if necessary. Omnivory is less a diet than a disposition, a way of treating the world as continuously edible until proven otherwise by year 20. Bodies have shifted in ways that measurement confirms. Legs longer because distance matters and the animals covering more ground find more food, and the ones that find more food reproduce more. Snouts longer because shallow rooters starve first in seasons when surface food disappears. Ears beginning to stand more upright because hearing replaced charm as a survival-relevant trait the day the barn walls opened. Tails uncurling because no one is selecting for the curl anymore. Coloration moving hard toward dark, brown and black and grizzled gray. Mud wallowing reappearing everywhere it is physically possible, despite most ancestors never having experienced mud in quantity, because the behavior was encoded and the moment hot skin met. Wet earth, the encoding expressed itself without asking permission, and the range expands fast because pigs are reproducing at pig rates in a landscape with no hunters, no helicopters, no policy, only weather and biology. And biology is slower than policy, but considerably less negotiable. 500 years later, pigs occupy most temperate and subtropical habitats across the continent, and they are no longer one thing, because one thing cannot answer all the questions that different landscapes ask. In the southeast, where warm forests and abundant mass make calories accessible, giant boars develop that exceed 350 kilograms, tusked and thick-necked, their sounders moving through hardwood forests in seasonal circuits, consuming acorns one month and roots the next and raiding marshes when drought concentrates prey. In the western drylands, another lineage compresses to 40 kilograms, pale, nocturnal, surviving on tubers and reptiles and insects and what might politely be called determination. In the north, a cold-form pig grows dense underfur and uses communal winter bedding pits lined with dried grass, lowering its metabolic rate during blizzards and emerging in spring lean and looking for arguments. 10,000 years out, and certain landscapes are being shaped by pigs more than by climate. Their rooting turns soil layers and buries seeds and uproots saplings and creates ponds from wallows and reroutes. Predators time their own reproduction around piglet season. Birds follow sounders for the insects their movement exposes. Entire food webs have organized themselves around appetite, and then evolution does what it does when given enough time and enough space, which is experiment past the point where any original observer would recognize the results. In drowned coastal plains, a swamp lineage develops wider hooves and spends hours submerged to the eyes feeding on reeds and mussels and amphibians. In the mountains, a short-legged, massively shouldered form overturns boulders for roots and hibernating insects with the focused efficiency of an animal that has done nothing else for 1,000 generations. On open prairie, a lighter-framed lineage runs in loose groups and scavenges kills from larger predators through coordinated intimidation. Coordinated because pigs are more intelligent than most animals, people romanticize, and more persistent than most animals people fear. And 50,000 years later, some forests exist in the shape. They exist because of pigs, because of where they rooted and where they didn't, which seeds they moved and which saplings they destroyed. The landscape is partly pig-authored, even if nothing in it knows this or could be told. And then dusk falls over what used to be central Illinois on an evening 1 million years after the storm opened the loading door. And the corn rows are gone, and the fields are gone, and the roads are gone, and the memory of rectangles is gone. And in their place stands mixed woodland broken by marsh and meadow. And from the tree line comes a sounder of 14 animals. The lead sow is old, one tusk chipped halfway down, scarred across the shoulder from something that tested her and lost, and behind her move daughters and granddaughters and striped juveniles and 2 thick young males trying to project a confidence they have not yet fully earned. And she stops halfway to the stream and lifts her head and reads the air. And downwind in the grass, a pack predator that has been working this crossing for 3 days shifts position slightly, and she knows before seeing because her line was selected across 50,000 years for females who noticed 1 second before the females who did not. And she makes a sound that is not loud, and the formation around her changes. Piglets to the center, adults fanning outward, the young males moving to the flank with the slightly over-deliberate quality of animals still learning what they are supposed to be, and they continue downhill together, not panicked, not performing bravery, simply organized around accurate information. And somewhere in their nervous systems, there is still a faint and purposeless response to the metallic sound of feed hitting a trough, a fossil reflex from fluorescent nights and concrete floors, and a system that measured their lives in kilograms per week. It connects to nothing now. It means nothing now. It is just a residue of a world that ended when a storm found a door that was never properly latched. The stream waits below, the old sow walks first, the others follow, and the continent does what it has always done with anything left in it long enough, which is make it native.